Sold out in minutes. Is Jungkook becoming a threat to Japanese fashion models? How can a single face on a magazine cover shake an entire fashion ecosystem? How can a foreign idol, in a country famous for protecting its own cultural stars, trigger anxiety, admiration, anger, and obsession at the same time? And why did one magazine, Yellow Japan's Spring 2026 Special Edition, vanish from shelves and online carts in mere minutes, leaving behind a question that refuses to die? Is Jungkook no longer just a global pop star, but a real threat to local fashion icons? On January 16, 2026, news quietly broke in Jakarta, then exploded across Asia. Yellow Japan announced its Spring 2026 Special Edition titled El Japón 2026 Spring Jungkook Special Edition. The cover star was Jungkook of BTS, making his very first appearance on the cover of this legendary fashion magazine. 32 full pages were dedicated to him. Exclusive photos, intimate interviews, a deep dive into his style, his mindset, his evolution. It was not just another cover. It was an event. Pre-orders open on platforms like HMV and Books in Japan, and yes, 24 in South Korea. What happened next felt unreal. Within minutes, fans reported that HMV and Books was completely sold out. On Yes 24, the magazine shot to #1 in real-time bestseller rankings. Price tags of around 1,020 yen in Japan and 11,671 in Korea did nothing to slow the rush. People refreshed their screens in disbelief. Some screamed in excitement. Others stared at the words "sold out" like it was a personal insult. But behind the celebration, something darker began to form on Japanese social media. Not all reactions were joyful. Among congratulations and fan edits, there were questions that felt sharp and uncomfortable. Why is a Korean idol dominating a Japanese fashion magazine? Are Japanese models being pushed aside? Is the local fashion industry slowly losing its own space to foreign stars, especially K-pop idols? And the most provocative question of all began to circulate in whispers and then in bold posts. Is Jungkook becoming a threat to Japanese fashion models? The word threat spread fast. Too fast. At first, it sounded absurd. Jungkook is a singer, not a runway model. He is an idol, not a Japanese celebrity. But then people looked at the numbers. They looked at the speed of the sellout. They looked at the hashtags trending across borders. Hashtag JungkookSellJapan, hashtag JUNGKOKXCHANELBUTY, hashtag Yellela Coverstar. They looked at his role as a global ambassador for Chanel Beauty. And suddenly, the question did not feel ridiculous anymore. It felt dangerous. It felt emotional. It felt real. Why did this cover matter so much? Because Yellow Japan is not just a magazine. It is a cultural gatekeeper. For decades, it has shaped what is considered beautiful, fashionable, desirable in Japan. Appearing on its cover is a stamp of influence. And now, that stamp was placed on a Korean idol whose fanbase stretches from Seoul to Sao Paulo, from Tokyo to Jakarta, from Paris to Los Angeles. Jungkook's appearance was not casual. He did not just pose and leave. He brought with him a global wave. His fans, army, did what they always do. They mobilized. They shared links, guided each other on how to buy from Japan and Korea, coordinated time zones, and celebrated every screenshot of a successful purchase. Some bought multiple copies. Some planned to frame the cover. Some cried because they missed it. But outside the fandom, people began to talk about something else. They talked about space, about opportunity, about visibility. In Japan, fashion modeling has long been a respected profession. Local models build careers through magazines like Yellow Japan, Vogue Japan, and others. These covers are not just aesthetic choices, they are career milestones. When a foreign star takes that space, some see it as exciting globalization. Others see it as competition that feels unfair. One Japanese netizen wrote, "Japanese models work for years to get one big cover. Now an idol from another country comes and sells everything out in minutes. What does that say about our own industry?" Another replied, "It's not about nationality. It's about influence. Jungkook has fans who will buy anything with his face on it. That's business." And then someone added the sentence that went viral. He is becoming a threat. But is Jungkook really a threat? Or is he a mirror showing uncomfortable truths about how fame works in the digital age? Jungkook did not become powerful in Japan by accident. BTS has spent years building a massive Japanese fanbase. They released Japanese albums, held sold-out dome tours, appeared on Japanese TV, and learned to speak directly to Japanese fans. Jungkook, in particular, has always ranked high in popularity polls in Japan. His visuals, his voice, his gentle yet intense image resonate deeply with Japanese audiences. When Yellow Japan chose Jungkook, it was not charity. It was strategy. A magazine does not survive on prestige alone. It survives on sales, relevance, and attention. In a world where print media is struggling, a cover that sells out in minutes is not just success, it is survival. The Spring 2026 special edition was designed to be different from the regular March 2026 issue. This was not replacing anyone. It was an additional version, a special edition focused almost entirely on Jungkook. 32 pages of him meant a deep dive, not a token appearance. And yet, emotionally, it still felt like displacement to some, because emotions do not care about logic. The phrase "sold out king" began trending again. Fans used it proudly. They listed his past achievements, his solo album Golden breaking records, his collaborations selling out products, his influence in fashion and beauty. Chanel Beauty's connection to this cover added more fuel. This was not just Jungkook the singer. This was Jungkook the global brand. And that is what frightens some people: a global brand does not belong to one country. It flows across borders and consumes attention wherever it goes. When Jungkook appears, local stars do not disappear, but they can be overshadowed. Some Japanese fashion fans argued that magazines are now chasing guaranteed profit rather than nurturing local talent. They asked whether young Japanese models will find fewer opportunities as global idols take more covers. They worried that magazines might become platforms for fandom-driven sales instead of fashion-driven storytelling, but others pushed back strongly. They said fashion has always been international. European models dominate Asian magazines. Asian models appear in Western magazines. Why is it suddenly a problem when the star is Korean? Why is K-pop always treated as an invader instead of a participant? This is where the debate became emotional, because it was no longer just about Jungkook. It was about identity, pride, and fear of being left behind. Jungkook himself said nothing controversial. In his interview, he talked about growth, art, pressure, and self-discovery. He spoke with humility. He thanked fans. He talked about fashion as another form of expression, not domination. He did not say he wanted to replace anyone. He simply existed. But sometimes, existence is enough to cause conflict. The fact that this was his first appearance on Yellow Japan made it even more dramatic. First times are symbolic. They suggest doors opening. And when one door opens, people wonder which door is closing. Yet the data told another story. The regular Yellow Japan March 2026 edition still featured other models and content. The Jungkook edition did not erase them. It added another layer. It created another product line. It attracted new readers, many of whom had never bought Yellow Japan before. Some fashion analysts pointed out that this could actually help Japanese fashion. New buyers might become long-term readers. Global attention might elevate the magazine's status. International brands might invest more. In this view, Jungkook is not a threat. He is a magnet, but fear is louder than theory. Screenshots of sold-out pages became symbols. Fans celebrated them like trophies. Critics shared them like warnings. Look, one post said, "This is what happens when fandom power enters fashion." Another replied, "This is what happens when fashion ignores fandom power." The tension grew because both sides were right in different ways. Yes, Jungkook's fandom power is overwhelming. It can move products, rankings, trends. That power is not based on traditional fashion authority. It is based on emotional loyalty. Fans do not just buy because something is beautiful. They buy because it represents someone they love, and that changes the rules of fashion. In the past, magazines decided what was trendy. Now, fandoms decide what is profitable, and profit shapes trends. So when Yellow Japan chose Jungkook, it was choosing certainty over risk. It was choosing a face that guarantees attention in an era where attention is everything. Does that make Jungkook a threat? Or does it make him a symptom of a new system where fame is measured not by critics, but by clicks, shares, and sold-out screens? Some Japanese models remained silent. Others indirectly commented through interviews about the importance of supporting local talent. Fans read between the lines. Every vague sentence became a headline. Every emotion became speculation. Media headlines grew sharper. Words like domination, invasion, and takeover appeared. But behind the drama, the truth was simpler. Jungkook did not take anything by force. He was invited, and the invitation came from a magazine that wanted to survive, to shine, to sell. In Indonesia, fans watched this debate with fascination. Many saw it as proof of Jungkook's unstoppable global power. They shared the Jakarta news proudly. Pre-orders sold out in minutes, bestseller in real time, price no barrier, demand unstoppable. For them, this was not about threat. It was about pride. But even among fans, there were whispers. Some wondered if this level of dominance could eventually cause backlash. When someone becomes too big, people start looking for ways to pull them down. The threat narrative could be the beginning of that, because society loves rising stars. But it also loves watching giants fall. Where does this leave Jungkook? Standing in the middle of admiration and anxiety, of love and resistance, of celebration and fear. He did not ask to be a symbol of cultural tension. But fame turns people into symbols whether they like it or not. The Yellow Japan Spring 2026 Special Edition will be remembered not just as a sold-out magazine, but as a moment when fashion, fandom, and national pride collided. It will be remembered as the issue that made people ask, who owns fashion in a globalized world? Who deserves the cover? Who decides what we buy, what we admire, what we follow, and most of all, it will be remembered for the question that refuses to fade. Is Jungkook simply a superstar doing what superstars do? Or is he truly becoming a threat to local fashion icons in Japan? Maybe the real threat is not Jungkook. Maybe the real threat is a world changing faster than people are ready to accept. Is Jungkook really the danger people should be afraid of? Or is he only the most visible face of a shift that has been quietly happening for years? Long before his Yellow Japan cover sold out in minutes, the fashion world was already drifting toward a new center of gravity where influence is no longer owned by designers, editors, or even models alone, but by those who can command emotion at a massive scale. Jungkook did not create that system. He simply mastered it. After the first wave of reactions, Japanese forums and comment sections began to fill with deeper, more reflective conversations. Some users admitted that their anger was not truly about Jungkook himself, but about fear of invisibility. One anonymous post said, "When I see his face everywhere, I don't hate him. I just feel like people like me who support local models are becoming smaller." Another replied, "It feels like our culture is being drowned by louder global voices." These were not attacks. They were confessions. At the same time, younger Japanese fans pushed back hard. Many of them grew up with K-pop as naturally as they grew up with J-pop. For them, Jungkook is not a foreign invader. He is part of their generation's soundtrack. They questioned why borders still mattered so much in fashion. We stream music from everywhere. We watch dramas from everywhere. Why should fashion be trapped in one country? One post asked, gaining thousands of likes. This generational divide revealed something important. The debate was not only about nationality. It was about time. Older systems of fame were built slowly through agencies, magazines, and controlled exposure. New systems are built in real time through social media, fandoms, and emotional connection. Jungkook belongs completely to the new system. When Yellow Japan server struggled during the first rush of pre-orders, it became a symbol of that new reality. Fans joked that even technology could not handle Jungkook. The critics said this showed how unhealthy fandom culture had become. Supporters said it showed passion. The same event was read in completely opposite ways. Fashion insiders quietly admitted that they had never seen anything like it. One unnamed editor told a local outlet that even top Japanese celebrities rarely caused such an immediate sellout. But he added something important. This doesn't mean our models are weak. It means his fandom is strong. That sentence shifted the conversation. It reframed the issue from talent versus talent into system versus system. Jungkook is not competing as an individual alone. He arrives